Victoria, I was named after my grandfather, so I wanted to keep that a part of me. I use the pronouns they, them as of right now. It's a little bit broader, so it's a little easier for everyone.
Nobody ever sees. I left my.
Oh, that's not that. It's in there?
I started on 0.2 milliliters that I inject myself with every Friday, and now I'm at 0.25. I go up 0.05 per month. I didn't know that I always wanted to identify this way. I definitely knew I was more masculine from a really early age, but I don't think I knew what it meant. My parents and I think my whole family kind of played it off as being a little bit more tomboyish. So with the testosterone so far, I've definitely noticed hair growth. My voice has definitely changed a little bit, mostly to me, like nobody else can really hear it yet. I guess there's certain things that have definitely changed that aren't visible. Crave red meat almost 24/7.
Most nights I hardly sleep when
So I kind of told everybody in stages, at least my immediate circle. I told my mom and my brother. I told everybody one-on-one instead of like sitting everybody down at once. I think it's super like nerve-wracking to come out to somebody. So my brother actually lived in Philly, so I sent him a card. And it was like a birth announcement for a boy, and I was just like, you're not getting a nephew, but you're getting a brother. And he called me to have a nice conversation about it, and I actually took my mom into the city, into Stonewall, which is where the LGBT movement began. And yeah, so we had a beer at Stonewall, and I came out to her, and she was just kind of like, yeah, I kind of knew you refer to yourself differently than you had previously. So that was that. And then the rest of my family kind of found out over Facebook. So it was definitely an interesting experience. And I mean, everybody pretty much took it really well, and I've been really greeted with a lot of support and stuff. So when somebody is prepubescent and they are trans, they'll receive hormone blockers instead of what I'm getting now is hormone replacement. The hormone blockers pretty much block the entrance of the estrogen or testosterone when you're going through puberty, but since I've already gone through puberty, what they do instead is they replace it with testosterone or estrogen. So the hormone blockers keep your body prepubescent at where the testosterone will actually take place. Yes, I definitely want top surgery to screw this up. And so I definitely want top surgery. However, you need to be 6 months diagnosed as gender dysmorphia, which just kind of means that your perception of your body doesn't match your actual body. So I feel uncomfortable in my body, and I go to therapy for it, and they diagnose me with this. And because of that, I have to wait 6 months before I could even attempt to get top surgery covered by my insurance. Bottom surgery is a little bit of a different story. There's different types of bottom surgeries, so I have not decided on which one that I want, or even if I want it. Surgery is not always for everybody, so I'm kind of, I go to therapy and I talk about it, and when it gets to that, we'll see.
Does being transgender require you to take hormones or get surgery?
No, definitely not. Everybody's everybody's journey with testosterone. Everybody's journey with being trans. Everybody's journey with being trans is different. You don't have to get surgery of any kind. You don't have to take testosterone or estrogen, do anything to your body other than just identify as trans.
Do you want to talk about how some people don't have those options?
So some people they physically cannot take testosterone. Testosterone higher your heart rate because it thickens your blood. So my throat. So since testosterone raises your heart rate, it could be a danger to actually take testosterone to somebody that already has heart issues. Also, surgery is crazy expensive. So especially if you don't have the help of health insurance, it's virtually impossible to get it.
It's also hard to get it covered, right?
It's so hard. Your therapist and your doctor have to send letters to get it covered, and even then, usually it's not completely covered. So part of it is still coming out of pocket. Top surgery I've heard costs $10,000. So not everybody has $10,000 laying around.
Do you want to discuss the pronouns and the terms for LGBTQ?
So there's a lot of different terms and terminologies. Pronouns, there's really only 3 that I'm aware of. He, she, so there's he, she, and they, them. You kind of get to me, I think you get to pick your pronouns because it's really dependent on how comfortable you feel. Like, I know that when somebody refers to me as a she or a her, I kind of cringe, and I've always kind of cringed, but, it's also hard to correct people because then you have to open up that conversation of like, hey, I am trans, and then, you get kind of berated with a whole interview every time you correct somebody. And then terminology-wise, there's so much terminology for the LGBT community. LGBT alone is lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender, and then questioning, and then sometimes people put plus because there are pansexuals and all that good stuff, which pansexual just means you love everybody regardless of a sexual preference or gender. And then there's, in my realm, there's cis and trans. So a cis person is somebody that is, completely comfortable in their own body and in the body that they were born in, I should say. And the trans who, like me, are not so comfortable in that body.
Did your sexual identity change? Do you think it will change in the future?
So I've known I've loved women since I was about 5 years old when the Spice Girls entered my life. And I'm pretty sure that it won't change. I have been exclusively dating women since I was about 18. And before that I had only had one boyfriend, and even then it wasn't anything too special to me. It just didn't float my boat. But to me, sexuality is as fluid as gender is. I wouldn't limit myself. I would like to think that if I met somebody that was wonderful, that their gender wouldn't much matter to me, but as of right now, I love women, so pretty good with that one.
How does dating differ now that you're in transition
Okay,
compared to before?
so dating is definitely a little more awkward, because you kind of have the choice of either telling somebody immediately or waiting, and then kind of having the buildup of your own, mindset of like how anxious you want to get. But it is hard because it's also, you don't know if the other person's going to be necessarily okay with it, which it sucks to say, but it's also hard because you don't know if you're supposed to be going for lesbian, or at least in my world, if I'm supposed to be going for lesbians or if I'm supposed to be going for straight girls. And then it's like either one of them, can say, well, I don't like that. Or, so it definitely is, rough, and you have to have some like really serious conversations very early on. And, usually you don't have that serious a conversation until like months into a relationship, whereas like I kind of have to have it on the first date. And it makes dating apps virtually impossible. Like you can't just, it's not as instant as that anymore.
When can you stop taking hormones?
So I could stop at any time, but my body would never naturally produce testosterone. I would have to take it for the rest of my life if I want to continue to see these changes and keep them. There are certain things that wouldn't necessarily change. Your bone structure changes over time. I'll get an Adam's apple and more facial hair and things of that nature, and that's stuff that's irreversible. So if I want to keep that up, I have to keep taking it for the rest of my life.
What kind of toys would you play with when you were a kid?
So in my childhood, I was lucky that I had really great parents and a little brother that was very close in age to me. So even though I had Barbies and play dresses and, all the fake makeup in the world, my little brother also had trucks and trains and cars and all that good stuff. So, my parents also bought my little brother a purple bike because it was his favorite color. So we were never really restricted, but I was also the person that quit the Girl Scouts because the Boy Scouts were having so much more fun, and those activities appealed way more to me than, knitting quilts and baking brownies and selling cookies.
Is everyone's transition the same, or is it different?
Everybody's is very different. No two transitions will ever be the same, and no two experiences are ever going to be the same. But, because you don't necessarily have to be taking hormones, you don't necessarily have to get surgery, and everybody transitions at a different point in their life. Some people know transitioning is right for them from the get-go at age 5, and some people know at 35, or at least feel comfortable transitioning at 35, and it's kind of a learning process based on who you are as a person, opposed to like their set guidelines.
But are there any health risks from taking these hormones?
So there are health risks. There's definitely the heart health risk, at least for testosterone that I'm aware of, that it raises your blood pressure and your heart rate. You're really not supposed to smoke. It can cause higher risk for cancer, and as well as diabetes. You're at a higher risk for diabetes. also, there are like unknown risks with if I were to decide, much later down the road that I wanted to have a child with my genetic disposition, or in layman's terms, get pregnant. They're not sure I ever will be able to now that I've started taking hormones. Some people can, some people can't. But if I were to ever get pregnant, I would have to stop taking the testosterone immediately. And even then, you have no idea what effects can happen. So it's kind of, there's not a whole lot of research on it right now. Yeah.
Do you have anything that you want to share?
I think if you were ever to encounter a transgender person, don't stare. If you want to make a conversation, go for it. We don't bite. We don't, we're not, or at least most of us aren't mean. I think I'm pretty cool, but, I'll pretty much answer any question that anyone ever has to ask. Try not to be rude, I don't want to answer questions about my sex life as much as you want to answer questions about your sex life. So just kind of keep in mind that, anything you wouldn't want to answer, I probably don't want to answer.